Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 2 of Let's Talk Design. So the first question comes from Jesse Higson. Jesse asks, I'd love to work with an agency such as No Divide and would really appreciate some insight on how you landed your first agency position. Or did you just begin by starting No Divide? Any advice for somebody looking to pursue that path? So Jesse, I guess if you're looking to join an agency, then the best thing that I can suggest you do if you're not in an agency at the moment and you're perhaps freelance is to put together a really good portfolio and just reach out to people. So in my experience, I started working at an agency only sort of 2 days a week and the rest of the time I was freelancing, and then I just went full-time freelance. So I never really worked full-time for an agency, and starting No Divide was kind of my first full-time agency position. And it doesn't really feel too dissimilar for me because I'm running the show along with Ryan. So it doesn't really feel too dissimilar to what I was doing when I was freelancing. We don't really look at what university they went to. We look at what work they've done and how passionate they are about what it is that they do. And that's what really speaks volumes for us. Mark asks, how do you facilitate design feedback from your clients, especially if they're not design savvy themselves? Do you educate your clients on how to give good constructive feedback? If so, how? Great question, Mark. So what we try to do is involve the client from the very beginning, so they're involved in every step of the process. That kind of means that what they end up doing is giving feedback that is naturally going to be more valuable to us because they understand the process that we've gone through and why we've come to those decisions. We don't really present a website like a ta-da moment anymore. So it's more of like a natural process with the client. So to avoid getting the wrong people to give the wrong feedback, we do actually try to ensure that only the people that are involved from the very beginning of the project actually have a say in how the project turns out. And we do this in our contract and it's worked really well for us. However, you can't help clients being clients, and sometimes they do tend to reach out to the rest of the team and ask for feedback. What you need to be able to do at that point is set the bar at what it is they're giving feedback on. So if it's something very specific, so a specific part of the site you've been working on, or perhaps a revision that they've requested, then make sure that they're just focused in on that part of the design, and that they're not just giving their blanket feedback on whether they think the color blue works for them or not. Simon asks, what were your first steps in design, and can you pinpoint a moment that changed it all? Hey Simon, thank you very much for the question. So yeah, my kind of introduction to web design was really from graphic design. So I studied graphic design at college, and really up to the age of 15, I think, I didn't even have a computer. So when I got into college at like 17, the web was still fairly new to me, really. And the way I looked at it was just like a new canvas for me to experiment on. What it meant was that I could just get my graphic design work onto the web. And at the time, MySpace was pretty big. And I remember just being able to customize my MySpace profile was pretty cool. And knowing how to do that and make mine better than my friends was something that was really exciting to me. So that was probably the moment that changed it. Actually kind of like discovering the web and realizing that I can put design work onto this new canvas. That was the moment that changed everything for me. Mantis asks, I would like to know how to get clients for a niche type of services. So if you're looking to create websites or provide design for a certain niche, then I would say the best way to do it is just to start off by doing those. So particularly if, say, you wanted to focus on a particular industry niche, so perhaps you wanted to work with charities, then I would suggest reaching out to those people that you want to work with. The more work that you do of that kind, you'll get more work of it. Just obviously write about it, write what you learn, write about the results, and show it what it was that you did for them. But if you're talking about something like, if you want to get more illustration work, then really the only way to do it is to kind of do more of it. As the same with anything really. To be able to get hired to do anything, you need to just keep putting more of that kind of work out. If you want to do more illustration work, but all your portfolio is photography based work, then you're going to get more photography projects. That's just the way it works really. So yeah, if you're looking for a particular niche, then just contribute content, write about that particular technology or industry, and just reach out to those people. Vicky asked, is it okay to use Comic Sans ironically? No, it is never okay. Except maybe if you're doing like a kid's art project. Cosmin asks, what do you think about tools like Macaw or Blocs app? Can non-coding designers really use these for client work? Absolutely, of course you can use it for client work. Whether it will be any good or not is actually kind of the real question here. So I guess the way I would look at these is that they serve a purpose for a certain kind of client or designer. So if you're perhaps just building out a static website that's going to be for like a really small local business, then it's probably going to be absolutely fine. Without looking into these tools too much, I don't think they're going to be the kind of things that Amazon will use to build out their websites, right? They're going to be more niche and maybe towards the lower scale projects. So yeah, they can absolutely work for client projects, but just not everything. I think if you're looking at them, then maybe consider using them as like a prototyping tool, a way to get ideas out on the browser. I think that's going to be where they really, really shine. Luke asks, what's the single most important piece of advice you could give to a newcomer in the industry? Try everything, find what you love, and do more of that. Sarah asks, designers, at what stage do you want to know the amount or style of content you are designing for? Or do you design in isolation from content? Hey Sarah, so firstly, I never design in isolation from content. Content is so important when working on any design. The thing is, sometimes clients just don't have content, or maybe they do have content, but it's not that great. Now, if they don't have the budget to bring in, say, a content producer or somebody like a copywriter to work on their content, then I sometimes am quite happy to just grab what they've got and do a bit of editing myself. More than often than not, you can strip out sort of headlines and statements and tweak them, and then from that you can kind of build a design around those statements. But really, the content needs to be there in place, or at least something in place from the very start. Ben asks, how do you keep motivated creatively? So generally, I'm pretty motivated by doing work. I think it was Casey Neistat that said, I strive on the feeling of having more things to do than I've got time to do it. It's something like that anyway.
I thrive on the constant stress that is having more things that I need to do than I have time to do them.
However, sometimes, we do all hit creative block, and I find the best thing to do there is just to step away from the screen, step away from what it is that you're doing, and just do something else. Now, this is talked about quite a lot, so a lot of people say, oh, you should just step away from the screen and just do something else. But I generally find that's the best way to stay motivated when things are sort of ran you dry. You are going to burn out if you just work at 150% all of the time. You do need to know when just to kind of take a step back, rein it in, take a breath, and then come back to it. That's kind of how I stay motivated. So that's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you have, then please leave a comment below. If you have enjoyed it, then please subscribe. There should be a link down here somewhere, about there. And if you want to ask a question, I'm going to show you how to do that